It is my belief and personal opinion that Isabella is never evil through the entire course of the Promised Neverland manga series. Ever. I'm only going to talk about really the first arc in here, because I feel like it starts to devolve kind of after Goldie Pond, actually. But in the manga, Isabella is not brought back as early. She is brought back eventually, but not brought back at the same rate. So I'm really only talking about the first arc. Now, to start, I think we need to recognize the difference between Isabella and someone like Sister Crone. Sister Crone, her whole thing is kind of like, well, we're all gonna, this reality sucks, this life sucks, we're not gonna get another one, so fuck it. I'm gonna live as best I can. And at least experience some human emotions while I'm alive. Versus Isabella doesn't want to be alive, I think. I think her only reason that she's still alive and putting herself through this is so that she can give the kids as good a life as she can. And you might say, well, this clip exists.
ねえママ、どうして俺を産んだの？
それはね、レイ。生き延びるためよ。
And yes, in that clip, she literally said, I did it for survival. But did she actually? Because keep in mind here that number one, Isabella and Ray are highly intelligent. In every interaction, they don't necessarily say exactly what they're thinking. And number two, Ray is her biological son. So this is literally the worst case scenario ever. Because Ray's her favorite. And if you don't believe me, then you're crazy. Like, I know everyone thinks Emma is her favorite. That isn't true. It's so not true. Like, even if you read the book series and you go through after Goldie Pond, and yes, I don't love the stuff once after Goldie Pond, like, ends. But if you go after Goldie Pond and you go all the way up to when Isabella dies, she asks for Ray. So, I think we have our answer. Great. Now that we've cleared that up. Yeah. No, I think this is like the worst case scenario. So at that point, she's like, well, this life isn't going to be great. And if she would want anyone to she'd probably want Ray to escape. So, of course, she's caught off guard here. So this is probably not her best plan. But she's like, well, I can make him hate me. So he doesn't feel like he has to stay. Because as, like, a kid, number one, that's his mother. And on another level, it's his biological mother, which he knows. So between the two, like, that's... Yeah. He definitely loves her to a certain extent, right? Like, because that's how people work. Yeah. Great. So I think... I honestly think that's to make him hate her. And you could be like, yeah, well, there's like not that much evidence to back that up or whatever. I'm like, yeah, okay, so I'm still getting to it. There's like a million other things. Number one, Isabella's a genius. The only reason that Isabella didn't escape, like, you can see that she even climbed the wall, she saw over the wall when she was little, but there wasn't three of her. She had the same, like, balance that Norman had, the physical ability of Emma and Ray, and like, she had everything they had. There was just one of her. So even if she escaped, there was no point. It was a depressing world, and she probably would die from demons anyway, because she has the information that there's still demons. Like, there's clearly demons out there. Especially later, she probably thinks that, in most cases, even if she's able to get all the children to escape, they're probably going to get killed out there anyway. Because demons have much higher physical ability and the same intelligence level, or some of them will have the same intelligence level as humans, because they eat human brains and that's how demons work. Great. In addition, do you think Isabella doesn't know that Ray is trying to escape from the minute he starts asking for things? Like as soon as he's asking for things in exchange for information. Like, she's a genius. She knows this. She's like, and she's lived more years than Ray. And she's been put in almost the same situation. She knows exactly what it's like, and probably that he's going to try to escape. And he's just going to make the things he asks for subtle and over time. And that he's collecting information. So, she probably does want him to escape. She doesn't want everyone to escape. This is my theory. But why would she continue to give him these items that he asked for if she knows this? Again, I think it's because she wants him to escape. In fact, I think she might even let him escape with 1 or 2 other people. Emma and Norman, probably. The problem with that is she might be risking her job. I don't know her exact situation, but please bear with me as I present more evidence to support this. Now, here's the thing. This is what I think is the difference between 3 people escaping, half of the people there escaping, which is what happened, in the entire population of those kids escaping. Number 1, if 2 or 3 people escape, which I think her intention was actually to have 2 escape, because I do think Emma is kind of one of her favorites after Ray. Or maybe to have all 3, but I think she realized that probably wasn't possible. Also, to have her keep her job. So with 2 or 3, number 1, she can keep the rest of the kids in the dark. She can be like, well, they got adopted and they just really needed to rush out of there very quickly. And now also, number 2 is that she can hopefully still keep her job and stuff. So that probably. And then with half the kids, this is like a pretty bad situation. Because number 1, the chances of them surviving, like with 2 or 3 kids, if they're like Emma, Ray, Norman, or Emma and Ray, they're geniuses. They're probably able to fight demons, maybe. Like, it's a maybe situation. Like, even if it's like 5% chance of them surviving, that's a lot better. You know what I mean? And if one of them dies, the other probably does, even if it's just from lack of mental health. Yeah, so, but she had faith in them. If it's half the class, if it's half the population of the people there, number 1, I don't think she thinks they can survive. Because even if she's never left the premise, she knows there's other demons out there that they're sending humans to some demons, and she knows that the demons have control of this area. So, yeah. And then, if they send half the class, the other problem is that then the other half of the class, like, she can't explain it to the other half of the class. So, she didn't, yeah. Like, that, it doesn't really work. The other half of the class are the geniuses, also. Like, they'll grow up, and they'll probably figure out that there's like, they'll know something's up to start. They'll probably be able to do enough research and dig around to figure out that demons exist and that they're going to be eaten and the entire thing's a farm. And if even one kid finds that out, which, I mean, obviously Phil did, but ignore that for a sec. If one kid finds that out, it'll spread to all of them. Now, you might think the ideal situation is that all of them go. But as I mentioned before, that there's no way they're going to survive. There's demons out there, and they're like, really, yeah. There's demons out there. And if they escape with a whole one, again, little Isabella will definitely lose her job. So it's like, yeah. That's why 2 or 3 is the optimal number. Probably 1 is the optimal number for her, but not if she wants that one to survive. So then 0 is the optimal number, but then she wants Ray to survive because Ray knew all along. And so he didn't have the best life at the farm, so she wants him to have, like, a shot. Which is why I think this entire situation, like, she even took Sister Crone out of the equation, and I don't even think, I think that was a pretty selfless thing for her to do. And the reason she begs Emma to stay, like, last minute, and she's just such a terrible person about that, is because she thinks at that point all the other kids will figure it out. Like, she even knows that Phil knows. And that they'll have a terrible, like, the rest of their life will be terrible, and they'll, yeah. Because they'll doubt their mother, and that, like, it's terrifying. It's not healthy. It's not healthy to know you're going to be eaten at the age of 12. Like, I don't feel like I have to explain this. Like, I don't think anyone's good. Like, anyone's like, yeah, I'm good with that. I have a good life until then, and then I turn 12, and I'm, or 6. Like, that's even worse, but, yeah. Great. Okay, so I'm gonna start by explaining why I'm in a car, and I'm sorry. It's gonna be noisy, but I'm really excited because I'm getting adopted today, and I've never left my house, for my entire life, so I'm just super psyched about this. I'm glad I had manga, but yeah. And my mother's humming, so that's the best part. Now, you might be like, well, Isabella's a genius, and in Ray's plan, he commits suicide. Like, in the plan, like, if it went through, he would have died. And Isabella's a genius, so, like, wouldn't she have figured that out? And I agree. I think she knew about that. I don't think she knew every detail of his plan, but I think, like, with, like, lighter fluid and stuff, I do think she had enough of a brain to figure that out. Not that I would have, or most of us would have in her situation, but I do think she did. So, to start that. Now, I think she tried to let Emma and Norman know that there was trackers and stuff in about the demons and stuff, so that they would stop Ray from executing his plan perfectly and killing himself. So originally I think she brought Sister Crone in for the reason she said and stuff, for the, like, you know, and that she was just trying to drop little hints, like when she pulled out the little tracking, like, tracker, is that a tracker? Tracker, oh yeah, Rain, but the little thing that shows where the kids are, the child tracker, that sounds worse, which it is, so yeah, I think she was actually trying to drop a hint to them, but then when she had Sister Crone, and she realized Sister Crone's plan, or some of it at least, I think she was like, oh, well, I could just have Sister Crone tell them. So, she basically led Sister Crone to having that plan exactly. Obviously, Sister Crone came up with it mostly herself, and Isabella found out. But, of course, Isabella manipulated it a little bit. And so that Isabella led Sister Crone basically to end up telling them where the tracker devices were, just in case Emma and Norman still were clueless about the trackers. Which I don't think she thought they were, but it's more of a precaution than anything, and of course she eliminated Sister Crone anyway in the end there. So, yeah. Okay. Then you might be like, well, why did she break Emma's leg? Because that's, like, yeah, not helpful. I would argue that she was hoping for one of two things to happen, and she was hoping that the first one would happen, but she'd be good with the second one happening. And I don't mean, like, yes, that was what I intended, but I mean, like, it would be the expected outcome. So the first one would be, she gave up trying to save Emma and wanted to try to force Ray to flee without her. which I don't know that he would do, but she was trying to force Ray and Norman to flee. Or she was trying to force Ray and Emma to flee. So these are the two options. Basically, when Emma's leg is healed, they can skedaddle, but they don't really have enough time to plan for all of the kids to go, because she's hurt and they're depressed. In the last minute, they go. Or Ray and Norman go, which is probably not very likely because she doesn't think Ray would be okay leaving Emma. But then she gets at least one of them shipped. If they all get shipped, then that's not ideal because she wants to protect Ray and she wants to protect Emma and she wants to protect all of them. But at least it doesn't spread the information to all the little kids. Probably. The thing is, if she gets Norman shipped and then Ray and Emma escape, then she can just be like, yeah, well, they just had a last-minute adoption. She can find some excuse, hopefully, as long as the other kids don't see it. But, of course, Emma's in that situation, and she might not be okay with that, which is why she tried to stop them up until the very last point, because she kind of lost faith. At the amount of information, I don't think she ever really thought, I don't think she was sure if they could break the trackers. But she was kind of hoping that, Ray could escape with one or two other people. Of course, this is also high-grade merchandise, and for her to keep her job, she'd want to ship them. But she does have other people in line, and you can even see that she even was given somewhat of an opportunity. Like, she did still keep her job after that. And so, she's not putting too much at risk. And so she's trying to force one of these things, but give them enough information to not let Ray die. And it's the worst way possible for Ray to die for her, because if Ray kills himself and they don't get the brain and they don't get his body and stuff for the demons, then that's terrible, because she doesn't get it shipped, and then everyone there knows what's up. If Ray escapes, it's not too bad, because she wants him to escape. And it's a little worse if he gets shipped, because she doesn't want him to get shipped, but it at least protects the little kids. Great. I'm not okay. In conclusion, I don't think Isabella's evil. I think she is someone who has had her heart broken time and time again and been put in terrible situations, but is just barely hanging on and trying to keep living and giving the kids as good of a life as she can. Now, keep in mind, this is all me putting myself in Isabella's shoes and in her mind, and keeping in mind, of course, her capabilities and strengths and weaknesses and stuff. But I, of course, can't know all the thoughts running through her mind. In fact, I can't even know the thoughts running through the main character's mind. And they can give a lot more on that. It's told from the child's perspective. And we're not getting all the interactions between Isabella and Sister Crone and things like that. We get things hinted, and we get things that are explicitly told. But in most cases, we don't know what happened there. No one knows. No one gets that information except for the author. And there's tons of interactions that the author didn't have time to include because people would lose interest after a certain point. Like, it's tough. You don't know what the character's thinking. And really, Isabella could be absolutely a terrible person. But I honestly don't think so. I do think she's maybe one of the most loving people in the entire series. But yeah, that's my own take on it, and I'd love to hear yours. And if you think there's a clear loophole in my plan, or if you agree with it, please let me know. Thank you. Bye. Also, I have to say that one of my favorite parts of the series is the fact that Isabella's lullaby is played through the entire thing, and it's just like this little hint that's like passed down from one person. Like the little kid wrote it, and then he shared it with Isabella, and she passes it down to her kids, and it's like just in these little places as background music. In fact, they have like a 3/4 version, like there's a 3/4, but it's also played in like 4/4, and it's played in, and there's these little things, like you'll hear it in guitar in one area. In fact, one time it was delayed piano, which was really cool. Anyway, I just love it. I'm a nerd. I know. Bye.